The perception paper is an assignment that allows me to get to know you as a student, and which really ultimately is a way for you to get to know yourself as a communicator. I often assign it early in the semester as it really helps you to develop a clearer sense of where you come from, and for me to understand where you come from as a person who communicates and the kind of relationships that you find yourself in. So let's take a look at the paper, the guidelines, and the material you're going to need to write the paper. So you click on the perception paper folder in your assignments tab, and you're going to see here several available links and folders. So the first thing is that this is where you're going to submit your paper, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Let's first start with the guidelines and the grading rubric that will help you to clearly understand where your grade comes from. So this paper is not going to be a traditional longer introduction, body conclusion with an undetermined amount of paragraphs. You will literally have 6 paragraphs in this paper. So I break it down paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1 is going to describe a relationship that you have with another person. They can be living or not. It can be a past relationship or a present relationship. You do not need to give me names or intimate details, but in one paragraph, the first paragraph, you just give an overview of the relationship and why it's important. In paragraphs 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're going to use the information which you've ascertained from your personality assessment, and I'll talk about that in just a second, and you're going to break it down so that each paragraph has an assigned bit of material. So you're going to, in paragraph 2, write about whether you are an introvert or an extrovert and what that means, and you're going to use the materials that I give you access to describe that and to clearly, you're not just saying, I'm an extrovert and this is what that means. I'm an extrovert, this is what that means, and this is how that impacts the relationship that I've written about in the first paragraph. So read this second paragraph here. You have to describe how that component of your personality plays a role in this relationship. So I want you to be specific. You're going to write about that thing. It's either extrovert or introvert, intuition or sensing, thinking or feeling, perceiving or judging. You should put the percentage from your assessment results. This gives me a clear indication as to how strongly you identify as that type. If you are closer to 100%, then there's very little question in your mind as to how close you are to that particular component of your personality. The lower the number, the more fluid it is. And then any notable information from the description in any of the corresponding information that I posted in Blackboard. Then you need to make connections to the relationship itself, and you can kind of do this throughout the paragraph. You may also include information about the other person. So for instance, if you know for a fact, if they themselves have taken the assessment, then you can say they took the assessment and they identify as an introvert, I identify as an extrovert, here's what that means. If you're not sure and they haven't taken the assessment, or if it's a past relationship, you may choose to guess at this, especially if it's really obvious to you. All right, and then in the last paragraph, you conclude which of the 4 factors do you think had the biggest impact. Like that's one example or one possible way to conclude. I just want you to wrap up this paper in a way that shows that you're thinking about personality and this relationship. I really want you to go beyond the obvious statements about the importance of communication. In fact, this should be true of the introduction and the conclusion. It drives me nuts when students do this. They start the paper with a sentence like, communication is really important. Yes, I know. That's why I teach the class. Don't tell me it's important. Tell me about why this particular relationship and the components of your personality or both personalities are, where's that interplay and what did you learn? All right, so the specific guidelines here in bullet points, you're going to save it as a Word document. You're going to upload that Word document into the Blackboard assignment page. I'll show you that in a second. Again, 6 paragraphs. You should have that double-spaced, 12 font, Times New Roman, Courier New, something that's just not like curly Q and hot pink, please. The final paper should be at least 2 full pages, but it really shouldn't be much more than 4 pages. Put your name and the course number, that's CO102, and then whatever the actual course number for the semester. And then, of course, double check for the spelling and the grammar and the punctuation, lowercase I will call you out on that every time. These are the things that are going to affect your grade. So the grading rubric, which is also here on the Blackboard page, kind of walks through that component, but this is what I'm going to use to grade you and what I'll upload to your grading page in Blackboard. So I'm just going to make marks whether each component listed here is in the clear or unclear, poor, fair, well, and excellent. And then citations, you do not need to include citations. I know where you got the information if in fact you got it from the Blackboard page that has all the components you need regarding the Myers-Briggs Personality Assessment. If you include information that is not from the textbook or from the handouts or video tutorials in those Blackboard pages, then please cite that information using MLA style, both in text and at the end of your paper. So again, you don't need to include citations. However, if you use materials from outside, then you should. And I use these, everything in the excellent zone is going to be an A, well is B, fair is C, poor is D, unclear is F. So I look at where most of the check marks fall, and then that is going to essentially give you your final grade. Now, to submit the paper, you're going to click on this highlighted paper submission, and it's going to give you the option to then upload your submission. And I do remind you, make sure you're following the guidelines. Make sure that you've saved it as a Word document so that I can actually read it and make comments on it. If it's not as a Word document, then there may be trouble with the formatting. Microsoft Office is available through Office 365, which the school gives to you for free. Please make use of that platform so that you can save your documents appropriately. Then you're going to click on Browse My Computer right down here, and you're going to upload the file from your documents. So again, upload it as a Microsoft Word document, and then when you're ready, you click Submit. The actual Myers-Briggs component is going to be a separate video tutorial, so please watch that separately so that you don't get overwhelmed with information in this tutorial. This is just about the actual paper and the guidelines for submitting that paper. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to let me know.